Sometimes you have to stop, sit back, and ponder why it's crucial to lend an ear to the wisdom of those who have walked the earth longer than the rest of us. It's more than just a polite gesture or a sign of respect. It's about tapping into that rich reservoir of knowledge and experience. The older generations, we've been around the block. We've scaled the mountains and navigated the valleys, and we have a treasure trove of wisdom that we can share. Consider this when you're planning a journey to a place that you've never been. Wouldn't you want a map? Wouldn't you appreciate the guidance of someone who's already been there? That's exactly what us older generations provide. We've already walked the path that we're on now. We've encountered the same challenges. We've made the same mistakes, and we've learned the hard way. Look, imagine you're about to step into a puddle. You don't realize it's there, but someone who's already been down that road warns you. And if you listen, you can sidestep the puddle and keep your shoes dry. That's the power of listening. With the wisdom of those who've come before you, you can avoid the unnecessary pitfalls and hardships. So why is it you often fail to heed our advice? It's often a mixture of youthful confidence and this desire for some independence and the belief that our circumstances are somehow vastly different. But here's the thing, the human experience at its core is universal. While the details may change from person to person, generation to generation, the fundamental challenges you face and the lessons you learn remain the same. By listening to your elders, you don't just gain knowledge, you gain perspective, understanding, and that sense of connection to the generation before you. You must realize that you are not alone in your struggles and that others have overcome similar obstacles. So next time you have the chance to listen to someone from an older generation, don't just hear our words, truly listen, absorb the wisdom, understand our perspective, and you might just find our advice is the roadmap you've been seeking. In essence, the wisdom of the older generation is like a roadmap of life that you often overlook. And now we come to the fact that some people wonder, but lots don't, but some people do wonder why the worldviews of younger and older generations often diverge. This is something that we should be looking into and should discuss. Each generation is shaped by unique circumstances and experiences. For instance, older generations, we have lived through times of war, economic crises, and societal upheaval, and our experiences have shaped our perspectives and values, often leading us to value stability, hard work, resilience. On the other hand, younger generations have definitely grown up in a world that is rapidly changing and evolving. You guys have witnessed technological advancements at a pace that was unthinkable for our predecessors. This exposure to rapid change often leads to a more adaptable, open-minded, and innovative mindset. However, these different life experiences can sometimes lead to misunderstandings. Younger generations often view the advice of us older generations as outdated or irrelevant. They may feel that us older generation doesn't understand their unique challenges that they face in today's fast-paced digital world. Conversely, us older ones, we perceive that the younger ones as impatient, over-reliant on technology, and even lacking appreciation for traditional values. We also feel that the younger generation is missing out on important life lessons by not heeding our advice. But I gotta take a moment and bust some of the misconceptions. The advice of an older generation isn't outdated. It's timeless. It's based on our wealth of life experience and wisdom. And while it's true that the younger folk, they face unique challenges, these challenges aren't insurmountable. They can be navigated effectively with the guidance of those who've walked the path before. Likewise, the younger generation isn't just tech obsessed. They're tech savvy. They're equipped with the skills and the knowledge that can drive innovation and progress. And while they may have a different approach to life, it doesn't make their perspective any less valuable. So in essence, both generations have their own strengths and perspectives shaped by different experiences and circumstances. The key is to bridge this gap between these perspectives and foster that mutual understanding. Because though both perspectives are unique and valuable, they can offer a more holistic view when combined. So what causes younger generations to often disregard the advice of their elders? This is a question that has been pondered and debated time and again. The answers, however, is not as straightforward as you might think. It's a complex web of factors, all intertwined and contributed to this generational disconnect. Let's start with the most apparent one, the generational gap. This gap is not just about the years that separate two generations, but also about the different societal norms, values, technology. We've all experienced it a little differently. And the world that the older generation grew up in is definitely vastly different from the one that the younger generation is growing up in today. And the difference often leads to a perceived irrelevance of the older generation's advice, as it may not seem to fit the current societal context. Another key factor to this is the difference in communication styles. Us older generations tend to be more direct and authoritative in our advice, while younger generations tend to favor open dialogues and discussions. This difference in approach often leads to misunderstandings and can make the advice seem less palatable. And then there's the desire for independence and self-discovery. Young people are often eager to carve out their own paths, make their own mistakes, and learn from them. They want to experience life firsthand, not through the lens of someone else's experiences. And this desire can sometimes overshadow the wisdom that can be gained from the older generation's advice. But let's not forget, this is not a one-way street. Older generations also need to adapt their approach. We have to understand that the world that the younger generation is living in and frame the advice in a way that is relevant and understandable. Understanding this disconnect is the first steps toward bridging the gap between generations. It's about mutual respect, empathy, and open-mindedness. It's about recognizing the value in each other's perspectives and finding that common ground. After all, we all have something to learn from each other, regardless of our age and our generation. What do you stand to gain by heeding the advice of your elders? Quite a lot, actually. Let's begin with the fact that we've lived longer. That means we've made more decisions, experienced more circumstances, and most importantly, we've made more mistakes. Yes, mistakes, those pesky little things that we all dread making, but it's part of the human experience. The greatest thing about mistakes is they are the greatest teachers of all. And if someone else has already made them, learned from them, and is willing to share that knowledge, wouldn't it be wise to listen? That's not to say that we should live our lives in fear of making mistakes. No, not at all. But if we have the opportunity to avoid some, particularly the more damaging ones, why not take it? That's one of the significant advantages of heeding the advice of us older generations. Then there's the perspective as we journey through life. Perspectives evolve. It grows wider, deeper, and more nuanced. This is largely a result of our experiences. And us older generations have had a head start in that department. We've seen things that you haven't, lived through times that you can only read about, and faced challenges that you might never have to. This gives us a unique perspective to help you understand situations better and make more informed decisions. And then there's just wisdom. Wisdom is not something you can acquire from a book or a lecture. It's an amalgamation of experience, knowledge, and deep reflection. It's something that only time can bestow upon you. By listening to your elders, you can get a chance to tap into this wisdom. You get to learn from our insights, our reflections, and our understanding of life. Experience is a tough teacher, but it doesn't always have to be. By valuing the experiences of older generations, you give yourselves a chance to learn from their journey. You grow from their wisdom and to make better decisions in your own lives. Our experience is a treasure trove of wisdom waiting to be discovered. So stop, sit down, talk to one, and listen. So how are we going to bridge this gap and foster this new culture of listening and learning from each other? Conversations. Well, the first step is obvious: to cultivate respect and understanding. It's crucial to remember that every generation does have its unique perspectives, shaped by our different experiences and times. And instead of diminishing our differences, you should embrace them as a rich source of learning. By acknowledging the wisdom and experience that we have, you can gain valuable insights that can shape your path ahead. So let's focus on communication. It's not just about talking, it's about actively listening. You often think you're listening when you're actually waiting for your turn to speak. True listening involves putting aside all your preconceived notions and genuinely trying to understand the other person's perspective. And that is a powerful tool in bridging the generational divide. Another important aspect is to engage in meaningful conversation. Instead of sticking to superficial topics, dive deep. Ask your parents, your grandparents about the lessons they've learned, the challenges that they and the rest of us have overcome, and the joys that they've experienced. You'll be surprised at the wealth of knowledge and wisdom that you can uncover. We also have to encourage intergenerational activities where younger and older generations interact and learn from each other. This could be as simple as cooking a family recipe together, going on a trip, or even working on a DIY project. Just these little shared experiences can foster a much better understanding and build stronger bonds. So you have to remember, let's keep an open mind. Often you resist advice because it contradicts your beliefs or desires, but it's worth considering. The viewpoint might not be the only valid one. So keep an open mind and ask yourselves to grow and learn. And in the end, it's all about mutual respect and understanding. We might not always agree on the advice, but their experience and our wisdom will provide you with unique insights that you won't find elsewhere. Remember, every generation has something valuable to offer, and it's time you start listening and learning from those of us that are willing to share and teach. This is Drac saying I hope you listened, and I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here. So until next time, peace out, everyone.